landing spot at Palm Beach Airport, where President Trump normally comes out the plane, and this sort of sniper's nest, there's extraordinary pictures which we'll show you, is in the direct line of fire. The FBI tonight saying, look, we can't confirm exactly at this moment what this is or whether it's intended for President Trump, but conjecture, the rhetoric, the fears are that this is a potential third assassination attempt which has been foiled on President Trump. Of course, after the shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania more than a year ago, the guy who was hiding in bushes at the Palm Beach golf course with rifles, he's just been banged up for a very long time. But my question is, Alex, my fear is that if the likes of Reform UK keep polling as they do, of course, leading every poll going for the past 10 months by some margin, they've got all the momentum at the moment. If that's the case, in 2028, 12 months out from an election, will we start seeing these kind of threats aimed at the likes of Nigel Farage and indeed other politicians who are polling quite high? Let's talk about the Greens and Zach Palahniuk as well. I mean, arguably it's going to be aimed at Nigel Farage, isn't it? But that's my fear, because political violence, death threats, we saw it with Charlie Kirk a few weeks ago, the other month, assassinated for sharing ideas. And my big fear now, if this is potentially another assassination attempt forward on President Trump's life, I fear for the safety of our own politicians, Alex, in the UK.
I certainly agree with you, Ben. Of course, we saw Madhupassa, the illegal migrant from Afghanistan, recently sentenced and put down into prison here in the United Kingdom because he made similar sort of death threats on TikTok. It's not just British people you've got to be worried about here in the unlike America, where it really is Americans sort of taking out Americans, we've got the threat of illegal migrants in this country, many of whom we know are exceptionally dangerous. They're making very emboldened death threats and things like that on TikTok, of all the places, Ben. And, it takes someone like Nigel Farage to be taken seriously, which is good because they have taken this seriously, for it to get dealt with. But you do wonder, for the likes of other commentators and big voices on the internet, whether the police and the authorities would do such a good job of it. Because Nigel Farage has got that oomph, I'm glad to see that these things are taken quite seriously and the justice, the hammer does fall down in the courts of justice. But I'm really worried about this sectarian violence, the rise of sectarianism we have in the UK here. We've got, of course, the Israeli football fans banned from coming to the UK, essentially, coming to the football match because of the violence maybe threatened against them too, Ben. Lots to dig into.
Yeah, indeed. And of course, it was Nigel Farage who had his publicly funded security detail slashed by 75% by Parliament just a few weeks ago. So, and goodness me, breaking in the last couple of minutes, President Trump has just boarded Air Force One very quickly using the small stairs due to increased security measures. Of course, that comes off the back of this potentially foiled assassination plot. More to come on that imminently. A big 2 hours coming up on The Late Show Live. So strap yourselves in. Let's do this. Hello, good evening on The Late Show Live tonight. Another assassination plot. In breaking news tonight, the FBI investigates a possible sniper's nest with a direct line of sight to President Trump's plane door at Palm Beach Airport. Just how safe are our political figures, including the likes, as I just said to Alex, of Nigel Farage in the UK? Because don't forget, this was our own Prime Minister just...
Well, I do think it is a racist policy. I do think it's immoral.
And breaking tonight.
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just fully what's a misunderstanding. What does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that.
Or what would President Trump say? A potential sticky wicket for Sadiq Khan, because London's mayor tonight has been accused of a grooming gang's cover-up in the capital. Also tonight, Randy Andy's in a whole new world of scandal.
I've questioned myself as to why did I go, what was I doing, and was it the right thing to do?
This for the monarchy. More documents related to the prince's friendship with Jeffrey Epstein are set to be released in the US after Democrats vowed to deliver justice for the victims. Cops are also involved in the UK. And breaking tonight, Israel renews its ceasefire after the IDF accuses Hamas snipers of killing 2 soldiers. Israel has responded with a wave of airstrikes across Gaza. Well, it didn't take long, did it? Is peace in the Middle East already over? We'll be diving headfirst into the stories from tomorrow's newspapers and, of course, all the breaking news from inside those papers hours before they hit the shelves. Also tonight.
With all due respect, have you been to London the last 10 years? Men can do whatever they want.
I live in London.
Are they happier?
God bless you, Charlie Kirk. Chaos at Oxford Union as a no-confidence vote is launched against the president-elect over his comments on Charlie's murder. His best friend, Charlie Kirk's best pal, joins me live very shortly. And of course, we're live in Washington, D.C., just yards from the White House, bringing you the stories America's talking about and that matter to Britain too, including this cracker. And it's a cracker indeed. What do you reckon? Is that real footage or AI generated? We'll have all the details why President Trump shared that clip on Truth Social and why the left are losing their minds. I'm Ben Leo. This is The Late Show Live, and we've got a big night ahead. All right, joining me tonight in Washington, D.C. is the US commentator and Democrat Party strategist Bob Weiner and the Daily Mail's US political reporter Victoria Churchill. Good evening to you both. But first of all, breaking news today coming from America. The feds have just foiled what could be a third assassination attempt on President Donald Trump. The US Secret Service have uncovered a suspicious hunting platform placed in a tree, pretty much a sniper's nest, with a direct line of sight where President Trump exits his Air Force One aircraft at Palm Beach International Airport. The hunting platform, or hunting stand as they're more commonly known, are used by animal hunters to give shooters elevated positions and a better line of sight. FBI Director Kash Patel told Fox News tonight, prior to the president's return to West Palm Beach, the US Secret Service discovered what appeared to be an elevated hunting stand within sightline of the Air Force One landing zone. No individuals were located at the scene, but the FBI has since taken the investigatory lead, flying in resources to collect all evidence from the scene and deploying our cell phone analytic capabilities. Secret Service Comms Chief Anthony Guglielmi said the authorities are so far unable to provide details about the specific items found in the tree or the possible intent. A law enforcement source told Fox News Digital the stand appeared to have been set up months ago. But the investigation comes, of course, weeks after Ryan Ruth was found guilty of attempting to assassinate President Trump at a Palm Beach golf course from a sniper's nest he set up in bushes along a fence line. And more than a year, of course, after this moment, which I argue undoubtedly won President Trump the election.
If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
So we've had Trump taking a bullet to the ear, escaping with his life thanks to a miracle turn of the head, and another nutcase recently jailed for a second attempt to take him out. And let's not forget Charlie Kirk's assassination last month either. Who knows what this hunting platform was set up for and by who? But what's clear is the threat against President Trump still persists and is very, very real. And when you're making progress and delivering promises like this administration is, the payoff is that people literally want you dead, which is why I'm growing ever concerned for the safety of Nigel Farage. Reform UK have been leading every poll for the past 10 months, and it was only a few weeks ago we learned Farage's publicly funded security detail had been slashed by 75% by parliamentary officials for what Reform UK called inexplicable reasons. So when the likes of Keir Starmer calls Reform's immigration policies racist, Farage the enemy, and says calls for a national inquiry on grooming gangs are a far-right bandwagon, let's just remember what that very serious consequence of that kind of language could be. And of course, let's not forget David Lammy's ludicrous U-turn on his Hitler Youth barb aimed at Farage earlier this month. Because make no mistake about it, if Reform are leading the polls within a year to go until an election in 2028, in the same fashion they are now, I have no doubt that far-left radical lunatics will literally be baying for blood. Well, let's get the take of political commentator and host of Spot On with Link Lauren. Link Lauren, good evening. Thank you for your company. Really shocking developments tonight stateside to do with this potentially third assassination attempt on President Trump's life. What's your take on it? Anything else that you can add to this, this growing story?
Well, it's great to be back with you, Ben. The details are still developing right now. According to FBI Director Kash Patel, they discovered a hunting stand that was facing where Air Force One lands in Palm Beach. So this is not good. I think the overarching issue here is that President Trump has been so dehumanized by the left. They're constantly trying to take him out. And all of this political violence, all of this political extremism is stemming from the left in general. We saw what just happened with Charlie Kirk on September 10th. He was barbarically assassinated. President Trump has had multiple assassination attempts. In fact, one of them was down in Palm Beach via Ryan Ruth. So this is going to continue, unfortunately, but we have to give respect to the Secret Service, and I'm grateful that they found this, but it's very concerning because President Trump is a father, a grandfather, and has an entire family.
Yeah, Link, beyond all the political stance and where people stand, the same with Charlie Kirk, beyond his position on things, I think, as you said, this kind of rhetoric about people being Hitler, being Nazis, being far right, I mean, in the case of Nigel Farage and Reform UK, I argue they're not far right. We just had 3 genuine far right potential terrorists banged up in the UK for plotting a massive terror attack. I'll give more details shortly, but they are the real far right. When you come to people like Nigel Farage, President Donald Trump, when you call them far right, I mean, what does it do in the minds of those sort of massively far left lunatics who think, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll be taking out the next Hitler if I take this out? Is that the kind of train of thought they have?
Well, absolutely, and we've seen this for years. The left continues to call figures on the right fascist, Hitler, Nazis. I don't think President Trump is Hitler because he just freed Israeli hostages, all right? He's a friend of Israel. He's a friend of the Jewish Americans, Jews across the world. So I think calling him Hitler is not going to stick much longer. But this is what they continue to do. They call you Nazis, fascist, Hitler. They try to dehumanize you, and they also try to validate their horrific behavior, right? They try to validate their violence. And there are even polls that show many on the left think that political extremism is okay if you're taking out a figure that you deem to be threatening your rights. This is not the country we should be living in, where you're taking up arms and conducting political violence like this.
Yeah, and some breaking news in the last 15 minutes or so, Link. Fox News are reporting that President Trump has already been taking reactive security measures. He was just boarding Air Force One, reportedly very quickly, using the small stairs due to this incident in Palm Beach, this discovery. How do you think this will change things henceforth? Do you think this will just be a temporary reaction, or do you think the administration, there's some pictures now, look, of Trump boarding that Air Force One plane very quickly. Do you think this administration will be stepping up security for the long term?
Well, I have such respect for the Secret Service. I feel like they have incredible security. President Trump has amazing security around him. The Secret Service are amazing. So I don't know if this is going to be a long-term solution. I'm not sure what's going to happen because it just broke an hour ago before I came on here. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a breaking, developing story. Link, whilst I've got you down the line, can we talk quickly about something else that's absolutely embroiling the UK at the moment, which is the Prince Andrew, Jeffrey Epstein saga? What's your take on it? There's calls now that he should be stripped off his prince title. He's still knocking around in Royal Lodge in Great Windsor Park. I mean, I argue he should be kicked out of there straight away. But this threatens to kind of bring massive doubts and questions to the very monarchy itself, I argue. What's your take?
Right, so when I read the letter, it seemed like Prince Andrew is going to relinquish his titles for now, or he's going to stop using his titles, I guess, to ingratiate himself or further himself in his career financially. But it's interesting, he does continue to live at Royal Lodge and have some of the, spoils and trappings of being a royal. What I really think we need is to strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their titles. They haven't been around in about 6 years. They left in January of 2020. Why does Meghan Markle continue to use her Duchess of Sussex title? She continues to call herself Her Royal Highness. She is using her title to sell jams, jellies, and dog biscuits, okay? I want Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to have those titles stripped. I feel like when Prince William becomes King William, he is going to strip some of these titles and thin the monarchy out to people who actually work for the Commonwealth and work for the people, okay? Not these hucksters in California.
Yeah, and Link, do you know what? It was the late Queen Elizabeth who specifically told Harry and Meghan, I do not want you making commercial gains off the back of your royal links. And I argue, I've said for years as well, and no one's been able to answer me this, but you had Meghan Markle who, if you take her word, she said that she was a victim of racism in the royal family. She said she wanted to take her own life. Such was the horrendous experience she had as a working member of the royal family. I mean, God forbid, a life of luxury. But when you've been through that kind of experience, the worst time of your life, you wanted to take your own life, then that's no, by the way, that's no sort of, barb at her. But if she actually felt like that, why would you then want to continue using your royal links, your royal titles, the HRH, all these little sort of gimmicks? Like, did you really have a bad time? Because if that was me, and I think for most other people, I'd want to forget everything about what happens during my time in the royal family.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Meghan Markle, she went and did an interview with Oprah where she accused the royal family of racism. She said she had a horrible time, that they were working her to death. She had no privacy, no safety, no security. She wanted to take her own life. But now that she's been in the U.S. for almost 6 years, she is using her title, the Duchess of Sussex, where, she spent 5 hours in Sussex, but she continues to call herself the Duchess of Sussex. She
I'm
uses
from
that
Sussex.
title to yes,
I've never seen her in Sussex
spent a lot
in my
of time
life.
there. I think I've spent more time in Sussex than she has on trips. So Meghan Markle, she calls herself the Duchess of Sussex, and she uses that title to sell jams, jellies, dog biscuits, and go to Balenciaga fashion shows. Not once has she worked for the British people in 6 years. Has she done anything?
Yeah, indeed. Well, I mean, it has to be said, of course, Prince Andrew's scandal is much more serious than Harry's and Meghan's. I mean, I think Harry and Meghan are a couple of a treacherous pair, to say the least. I mean, doing your family over like that in public is pretty dirty in my book. But Prince Andrew, the saga rolls on. It's not looking good, and it's also dragging his wife Fergie into it, and indeed Eugenie and Beatrice, the princesses. Link, before I let you go, let's just go back to the old story quickly. Eric Trump, President Trump's son, has tweeted on this potential assassination attempt in the last few minutes. I'm not sure if we can get that up very quickly. He's basically suggested that, here we go, it's coming on screen now. He's basically suggested that this, he's praised the Secret Service for doing a great job. He's not gone as far yet to say it's an assassination attempt. I guess he wants to wait for the full investigation, but he said, quote unquote, hunting stand for all the white-tailed on Southern Boulevard, located directly across the street from Palm Beach International Airport, in the median of a major highway, directly facing the Air Force One stairs, 200 yards away. And Eric Trump, of course, has got a new book out in the last couple of weeks called, I think it's Under Siege, which details how the left went for his father. They tried to jail him, they impeached him, they went for lawfare, they tried to kill him. So what must the family be thinking tonight after this potential third assassination attempt?
Well, I'll go back to what I said earlier. President Trump is a father, a grandfather. He's also the father figure of the country. The president, no matter if it's a Republican or Democrat, you are a father figure of the country. But he's been so dehumanized by the mainstream media, by these radical Marxists on the left, that they're going to do everything they can to stop him. And they've tried multiple times with Thomas Crooks, Ryan Ruth. Now this situation in Palm Beach with the hunting stand that's facing Air Force One. This is not a good situation. So I pray for his kids. I pray for his grandkids. This family has been persecuted and prosecuted. They've ginned up bogus lawsuits, and he's come through all of it. So I imagine President Trump is not going anywhere anytime soon, thankfully. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, the Democrat on my panel tonight, Bob Wiener, has been laughing and scoffing all through this, so I'm going to be tackling him on that in just a second. Link, where can we find the Spot On show?
You can find Spot On YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and he is welcome to scoff at me because I do not know who that is. So I wish that man well. And I don't know if he's even an American citizen. So I wish you well, sir. God bless. Mwah. See y'all later. I'm out.
He is. Bob Wiener. Link, thank you very much. Appreciate you, and we'll catch up soon.
Yes.
Thanks, Link Lauren, host of the Spot On show, which you can find on YouTube and all good podcast providers. Right, I'll get stuck into Bob Wiener and, of course, Victoria Churchill in just a second. But first, coming up.
The Democrats are kamikazes right now. They're kamikaze pilots right now. They have nothing going. They have no future. They have incompetent candidates.
President Trump slams the Democrats over the government's latest shutdown. But first, we'll have all the latest on that top story where the Met Police are investigating claims that Prince Andrew asked a bodyguard to dig up the dirt on Virginia Giuffre just before that key 2011 photo of them together, the alleged photo, which Andrew denies, surfaced in public. Andrew denies all allegations and gave up his royal titles this week. But is there more to come? What should happen now to Andrew? And what a crisis, I argue, for the monarchy. Back in just a tick on The Late Show Live.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised. exist.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you regret the whole friendship with Epstein?
Now, still not.
Oh, he's going to be sweating tonight, isn't he, after the latest revelations? Or maybe not, if you believe Prince Andrew, he can't sweat. More on that developing story shortly. But for the time being, let's go back to that developing story tonight. After a suspicious hunting stand, a sniper's nest pretty much, was found nested in a tree with a direct line of sight to President Trump's Air Force One aeroplane in Palm Beach. The FBI saying from 200 yards away, this platform in a tree, which had been set up for months reportedly, had a direct line of sight to President Trump's door on the plane, which he leaves from and walks down the stairs. Could this be, it's unconfirmed, but could this be a third assassination attempt on President Donald Trump, which has been foiled tonight? And I'm arguing as well, what happens in the UK 12 months out from an election if Nigel Farage, who has been subject of many, many death threats before, if Farage and Reform are still leading the polls 12 months to go in the UK, will he be facing a similar threat? Well, let's get the take of US commentator and Democrat Party strategist Bob Weiner and the Daily Mail's US political reporter Victoria Churchill, who joined me live in the studio tonight. Hello, you two. Thank you for your company. Right, Bob, you were laughing, you were scoffing and sniggering at Link Lauren in that previous segment. What's your take on this?
Well, first of all, thank you for the mug, and thank you for bringing him from London.
Straight back from London. Just let's get into the serious stuff first. Look, no paper cups, but GB News mug straight from London.
Let me just cell phone analytics. You know, I have a deer stand in the woods where I live, 20 minutes from Washington.
Yes.
If they had maybe walked around the airport in a concentric circle and looked around, it wouldn't have taken them a couple of months to find it. So that's a little ridiculous to me. And of course, there's no debate.
Hang on. Let's talk about the stands. So these aren't very well known in the UK because I think very few people go and hunt deer. Right. So it's a platform in the tree, which people elevate from. They hold rifles. Okay.
But this one was aiming right at Air Force One's landing steps, so that's where it becomes dangerous.
Yeah.
But how do they not find that? The same thing as it took them a while to find the thing in the golf course. So, you know, walk around, look, the thing on top of the roof, how do you not find that? So we got some flaws in our, but it's the same thing on Capitol Hill. I walk around and they have arches where all the VIPs go through, and I keep telling people, you know, that's dangerous. It is dangerous.
So you're slamming the Secret Service. You said they should have found it months ago. I mean, they've uncovered it.
They should have
they found the guy in the bushes on the golf course.
They did indeed, but here, didn't we just hear that it's a couple months that it's been there, that the sand was there?
Potentially.
So that's ridiculous. That's number one. Number two, nobody wants an assassination attempt on anybody, but quit with the saying it's a left. It's because of the rhetoric of the left, which your commentator said, which Eric Trump says. What happened to the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys who injured 150 cops on January 6th and 5 died? What happened to that? This is not a right or left. It is not a right or left, and it's not a right or left rhetoric. It's everybody's rhetoric.
Well, let's talk about, I don't want to talk about January the 6th, but those coppers, those police officers died of natural causes.
No.
The only person, Bob, who was shot dead on January the 6th.
Heart attacks.
No, the only person who was shot dead on January the 6th was who? A Republican MAGA woman. I've forgotten her name. God bless her.
Yeah, she was breaking into the Capitol so she could shoot Congress people. Tough.
So she could shoot Congress people.
That's exactly right. That's what she was doing.
She was the only person who was killed by law enforcement.
Yes, and that's why the Capitol cops protected.
Coppers, I don't talk about
Harry Dunn says that the cops were heroes, the Congress people were hiding, and she was breaking in, and it's a disgrace that she got that $5 million settlement.
Well, there's videos doing the rounds, which I saw even yesterday, or today on the plane over here, of police officers welcoming people into the Capitol on January 6th, saying, "Come in, come in."
Why create a mess?
Right. Okay. Anyway, let's talk about the assassination attempt potentially on President Trump.
Yes,
Victoria, your take on this? You broke this tonight, didn't you, just before Fox News?
Yeah. Well, they beat us by about half an hour, but we got it up right after them. And Katie, I think, pulled the picture that we use with the circle. So thanks, Katie. I'm sure the folks back in up in New York and back in London will appreciate you using our graphic from that. But you know, I'm going to actually disagree with Link and agree with Bob on Secret Service. I think they have lapse after lapse after lapse.
Right.
I was not directly in Butler, but I was there the day after because I was covering an event about 45 minutes away, and I interviewed some of the neighbors whose properties backed up to that Butler Farm Show grounds, you know, who said that they were never contacted by Secret Service kind of outside of the direct perimeter of that rally. And I've also sat in hearings in Congress where they've investigated the Secret Service. You know, Rand Paul, he's one of the main guys on this. You know, he's one of the main guys on this. Rand Paul is of Kentucky. He's not one of Trump's favorite Republicans, probably one of his least favorite Republicans. But, you know, I think Trump actually does appreciate the investigations that Paul has been leading on this to figure out how the Secret Service is having lapse after lapse after lapse. And, you know, in this time of heightened political rhetoric on both sides, members of Congress want, you know, additional protection. They had some additional funds appropriated before the August recess here a couple months ago because they feel threatened.
But they don't want to come back because of Epstein.
Well, and, you know, again, I've actually got her name here. Of course, we had in Arizona the special election with Adelita Gravalha. She can't be sworn in because Congress is currently out of session, so they can't have a swearing in for a member of Congress.
Okay, Eric, I mean, you both have, you know, you've critiqued the Secret Service there, but these guys work with the Trump family for many, many years. President Trump says some of them are indeed like family members and very good friends. Eric Trump has just tweeted in the last hour or so saying the Secret Service did a great job finding this. And Bob, I'd like to know what you think about.
I would have found that deer stand.
Well, maybe it wasn't set up. Maybe it wasn't set up months ago.
And
maybe
by the way, the other thing I
suggestion.
think that's really stupid, Ben. Let's tell everybody what the details were so the copycats can do it. I can't believe the detail that they're going into with the specifics of this thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think you're clutching at straws maybe there. I mean, surely it's an alert to make other people aware that potentially what could happen.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the UK. I argue the likes of Nigel Farage, other leading politicians in the UK, are facing the same sort of threat that President Trump does here? Because I'll say it again, if you're 12 months out from an election and Reform are leading every poll going, I think some very deranged people will do anything they can to stop it.
Well, I agree. I like Nigel. I've been on his show half a dozen times. And to cut his security funding 75% is nuts.
Yeah.
That's
Why did Parliament
number
do
one.
that?
Of course, if he's leading as it appears that he is, of course he should be approved for extra Secret Service control, as we do with presidential candidates in the United States.
Victoria, your take on the UK situation? Of course, we don't have guns in the UK, but
Yeah,
there's access to guns.
You know, I wish actually the UK had the Second Amendment, and I wish more states in the US actually followed the Second Amendment as it's written, unlike how some state legislators have legislated it, because I think regardless of how secure of a force you have, whether that's hired or assigned to you, you know, I think at the end of the day, you are your own protector, and that's why, you know, not so much on this show, but on other media that I do, I'm constantly advocating for the Second Amendment to be as it's written. And, you know, like I said, I do wish that the UK had it, because people that want to cause violence.
Do you wish we had guns in the UK?
I do think
I mean,
so,
I don't.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I'm very...
But you like the Second Amendment here?
I love the Second Amendment here.
The numbers of deaths are way higher with the places that have guns. Way higher.
I'm very pro-gun in the United States, only because the guns are out anyway. The horse is bolted, and the quickest way to stop a mass shooting is by being armed yourself. If every bad guy on the street has access to a gun, I'd like a gun as well. But we don't have that in the UK, so I don't want to push a button in the UK and say, right, everybody have guns. I have a shotgun licence in the UK, but you have to have a firearms officer come to your house, interview you, check your house out, make sure you're not a nutter, check your family out, you know, kind of see what kind of person you are. You have to have a medical note from the GP as well, saying you've had no previous mental health history. And the gun has to be locked in a cabinet, bolted to a wall, with the keys kept separately, and nobody else in the house is allowed to know where that key is. And sometimes they'll do random checks. They'll knock on the door and say, "Oh, hello, is Ben in?" And my wife will answer. And
Especially the kids.
She'll say, "Oh, no, he's not in." And they'll say, "Can we see the gun in the cabinet?" And they'll try and trick you. If the wife says, "Oh, yeah, here's the keys," you lose your license straight away. So I don't want to push a button now and have guns on the streets in the UK. Absolutely not. But in the US, yes, because everybody else has got one.
Yeah, I mean, my pushback to that, I think, always is, you know, in the UK, people commit mass acts of violence, whether that's with vehicles or with knives. So, you know, people that have bad intentions will always find a way to cause harm, in my view.
Is it the left, Victoria? Is it the left who are more prone to political violence? Particularly fatal shootings, assassination attempts, not just kind of ruckuses in the street and riots and stuff. I'm talking about assassination attempts.
The murder numbers. The United States, #1 in the world.
You know, to me, I do think that the left, every single mass incident that we've seen has been from a leftist. But I also
just ticked off the Proud Keepers and the Oath Boys.
But they weren't assassinating anyone.
Bob, are you going to keep interrupting me, or can I actually get a point in?
But quit saying just the left. Everybody should stop their political rhetoric and tone it down.
I started off the segment by saying we need to tone down our political rhetoric on both sides, but I do think that the people that actually act on the rhetoric are overwhelmingly leftists.
Yeah.
Not true numbers-wise.
Maybe because they're...
Let me see your numbers, Bob.
Bob, what do you like...
In a congressional hearing, they showed how it was 6 times as much actually from the right.
Bob, what do you make of the kind of language we see from our Prime Minister Keir Starmer and David Lammy, is he not Foreign Secretary now, whatever he is now, he's been demoted, when they say things like, Reform UK's policies are racist, immigration policies. Nigel Farage is the enemy. David Lammy suggesting that Nigel Farage flirted with Hitler Youth in his school days, which he then, you know, stupidly U-turned on, very embarrassingly. What do you make of that kind of language?
I think it's awful. And by the way, the Young Republicans of New York have been disbanded because they just did the same thing. And the state senator who was the head of the Young Republicans has resigned because of it. That just happened over the last day for the very same reason, the same kind of language. By the way, racism among the royals. Chris Rock, my wife and I went a couple of years ago, and he said, well, Meghan and Harry decried the racism of asking how black the baby was going to be. Yeah. And Chris Rock said, every black family wants to know how black the baby's going to be.
Well, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. No, it's a joke from Chris Rock, but it's a true point. I mean, it's a normal human question. Like, you're with a mixed race woman, it's a curious human response. It's, I wonder what the baby would look like. I mean, they use that because to try and claim that the royal family are racist. Anyway, we'll move on to that very shortly. The latest on Prince Andrew. Zaphod, you've said on gbnews.com/yoursay, Ben, why have you got a shotgun at home? The answer to that is because I go clay pigeon shooting up at the local gun club. Very good fun. Right, coming up on the Late Show Live.
We're going to tear up the crown.
Find out why former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's tearing up a crown. Apparently, some people in the United States think Donald Trump is acting to not just an authoritarian dictator, but a king as well. This is The Late Show Live, only on GB News.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as
and now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Stephen Dixon, and thanks for joining us on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From my perspective, Britain is one of the greatest countries in the history of the world. You are the country of Shakespeare, the steam engine, and Adam Smith. You defeated Napoleon, you destroyed the slave trade, you stood up to Hitler.
Oh, how we miss Charlie Kirk. That was, of course, Charlie addressing the Oxford University earlier this year on making England great again. Meanwhile, of course, its union, Oxford Union, is facing a financial crisis over its president-elect's comments about Charlie, pretty much celebrating his murder. He denies it. Anyway, I'm speaking to Charlie's best mate, Mikey McCoy, very, very shortly. Mikey gave a very, I argue, the best speech at Charlie's memorial in Arizona a few weeks ago. I'll be chatting to him in just a few minutes. Still, though, for the time being, let's take a look at some of the newspaper front pages hitting the shelves tomorrow, including the Metro, which headline reads, "And when he was down, he was down." This is on Prince Andrew. Yeah, a little play on the old nursery rhyme there. The I newspaper: "Ceasefire in peril as Israel bombs Gaza, blocks aid and accuses Hamas of attacks." Yeah, the IDF accused Hamas snipers of killing 2 soldiers, initially breaking the ceasefire, and that's why Israel has responded with some bombs tonight in Gaza. The Mirror tomorrow: "Cops probe Andrew claims it's the scandal with no end," says the Mirror. I think they're pretty bang on the money there. The Sun leads with Prince Andrew as well. "Andy sweats over police probe." This is a police probe into claims that Prince Andrew asked a copper to dig up dirt on Virginia Giuffre. The Daily Express: Sadiq Khan accused of grooming gangs cover-up in the capital. This is a massive breaking story tonight. Whistleblowers say Sadiq Khan has serious questions to answer, and GB News on this has approached the Mayor's office for comment. A spokesperson for the Mayor has told The Express Sadiq Khan's always been clear that the safety of Londoners is his top priority, and nowhere is this truer than in the safeguarding of children. The New York Times tomorrow. Rubio promised to betray informants to get Trump's prison deal with El Salvador to secure US access to President Nayib Bukele's notorious Secot prison. This is a big old story about Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, and the President of El Salvador. And the Washington Post, Rubio promised to betray informants. It's the same story, is it? Is that the same one? Let's have a quick look. Washington Post. Yeah, it's the same story. There we go. Let me know your thoughts. gbnews.com/your say. Down the line now is GB News superstar and comedian Paul Cox. Paul, good evening. Thank you for your company. What story would you like to get stuck into? I can probably guess, Paul. What is it?
No, actually, do you know what? There are two big stories, and we should at least mention Prince Andrew there. Huge story. Andrew on the front of the paper, on the front of the Sun there. Andrew sweats over police probe. Of course, he is alleged to have instructed his police bodyguard to dig up dirt on Virginia Giuffre.
What should happen to him, Paul? What's your take?
Oh, it's getting very murky now. There's two sides to this, as far as I'm concerned. When this very first started, I thought, you know what? They're just trying unfairly to dig up stuff on Prince Andrew, piling pressure on him, etc. But the more we learn about the story, the more it seems entirely possible that he's up to his guts in this stuff, and that he's gone about it in a disingenuous way, shall I say. And his interview with Emily Maitlis was something that really showed, I felt, his entitlement. And there was an element of arrogance about it, an arrogance for the viewer, an arrogance for a belief in himself. And it really did make you feel that there was much more to this than met the eye. It backfired entirely. It showed a lack of sort of intellect, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think the words you're looking for there, Paul, is maybe he's just a little bit dense. I mean, Prince Andrew has long been accused of being thick. And yeah, he's got himself into all sorts of trouble. And also, by the way, dragged his family into it as well. Fergie now embroiled in it because of the alleged emails she sent to Epstein after his conviction. The princesses as well, Eugenie and Beatrice, were reportedly, I think they deny this, dragged to a party or a meeting at least with Epstein some years ago as well. And yeah, big questions now for what the monarchy does. Prince Charles, they need to kick him out of Royal Lodge, I argue. He's rattling around that massive lodge with Fergie. He spent 10 million quid of his own money on it, but it's his last remaining link to royalty. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on that front, Paul.
Yeah, look, I'm a royalist. I will defend the royals all the time. They carry on doing a good job, and I feel that on the whole they do a great job for Great Britain. But this now is becoming not just a distraction, but a huge scandal, a scandal of the generations, really, for the royal family. We're looking probably at a police probe, first one in 20 years of the royal family in this country, and it becomes incredibly difficult to justify this to the taxpayer. Not all taxpayers are royalists like me and you, Ben, and some of them will be wondering why on earth they pay for the royal family, but they'll be definitely wondering why on earth they pay for Andrew to live a life of old luxury. So I'm afraid it is time for him. The way he's dragged his family into this is deplorable. And look, do you know what? Epstein was around a lot of famous people back in the day before he was convicted of anything, before he went to jail, and a lot of people got caught up in this. But 99% of those people said, look, we had no idea. If we had done, we wouldn't have done anything about it. Andrew's been very different about this. What he has done is denied all along the things that he's obviously known, and then when it's come out, he continues to deny it. And knowing that he was convicted for the things that he was convicted for, he decided to maintain contact. There is no need for him to do this. Prince Andrew can live a right old life of Riley without Epstein involved at all. And do you know what? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the front page of the Mail tomorrow, the King's threat to shame Andrew by stripping his titles. The King threatened to have Prince Andrew officially stripped of his titles unless he, quote, saw sense. So I think, I've been in England this week with my boys, so I've not been following the news too closely, but I think the statement from Andrew said that he would replenish using his titles, the HRH and so on, but they can still strip him of those titles through Parliament. Is that right, Paul?
That is absolutely right. And the statement, I've been slightly disappointed so far because the statement that we saw saw so far has made Prince Andrew look magnanimous in some way. He's released a statement saying he's always put king and country first, he was a military man, etc., etc. But it hits him on the front foot saying, I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. What we really need to see here is they are a firm. This is UK PLC. And what we really need to see is the CEO of UK PLC, i.e. the King Charles, coming out and saying, enough is enough. He might well be my brother. He might well have been my mother's favourite son, but he has to go. Because there's no way back now. There's no way back.
Yeah, indeed. Paul, thank you very much. Great seeing you again, and I'll see you in the next hour. So, go and get yourself a coffee, and we'll catch up in just a sec. Right, still ahead on The Late Show Live. Oh, I love this. Have you seen it? It's a viral video doing the rounds. Is it AI generated? Is it real? Who knows these days? Why the US president himself, Donald Trump, posted it online. You don't want to miss that. Also on the show tonight, is peace in the Middle East already over? We'll have the latest details next. Hamas have been accused of killing 2 IDF soldiers by sniping them to death, basically. 2 snipers accused of targeting soldiers. And in response, Israel has now again unleashed the bombs on Gaza. This is The Late Show Live. Back in just a tick.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back to The Late Show Live. Let's go to the developing story in the Middle East now. Breaking news today. Israel says it's resumed enforcement of its ceasefire after it carried out a wave of airstrikes on Gaza. So new bombs have been dropped on Gaza from Israel. The IDF have confirmed that 2 Israeli soldiers were killed in Gaza earlier today. Israel has accused Hamas snipers of gunning them down. Hamas, of course, accusing Israel of breaching ceasefire conditions first. Well, let's get the take of former British military spokesman and the geopolitical defence commentator Mike Shearer. Mike, it didn't seem to last long, did it, peace in the Middle East? What a crying shame for all of humanity.
Yes, indeed, Ben. But look, who thought that wasn't going to happen? The reality is that Hamas do not have the political bandwidth, if you like, of its own people and its groupings, or the discipline, for that matter, to maintain the peace that it is offered up alongside Israel for this plan that Trump has put forward. I'm sorry, this is also predictable. It is.
Any idea, Mike, who breached the ceasefire first, judging by reports? I mean, what Israel is saying, it was 2 Hamas snipers who gunned down a pair of IDF soldiers. Israel has responded by continuing the bombing of Gaza. I mean, what's your take? Any word on the street?
What do you think? Here's the thing. You've got a disciplined government, the only functioning government in the Middle East that has democracy. Or do you think that it was, in fact, the lawless thugs that perpetrated those terrible atrocities on the 7th of October? Of course it was Hamas that done this. Of course it was. And Israel are quite right to respond as they always said that they would. Of course they're right to do that.
Yeah. Well, no, I think you're probably right, but Israel, I argue, has a PR issue at the moment because you've got, I mean, even now there's a big debate about who started it first. And when it's so clear, you've got a civilized democracy and then you've got jihadi-loving terrorists who are voted for by the people of Palestine, yet there's still a debate about who broke the ceasefire first. Let's get a take of my panel now. Mike, stay on the line. They'll have a chat with you. US commentator and Democrat Party strategist Bob Weiner and the Daily Mail's US political reporter Victoria Churchill. Bob, any questions or commentary for Mike Shearer?
Yeah, a little bit of comment here. There's another side to this. It's very difficult for Hamas to find those hostages, the dead hostages, which actually was the reason, excuse me for the camera, was actually the reason that the whole thing restarted. So you have to be, and even Trump made the point that it's difficult for Hamas to find the dead hostages. The getting of the 20 hostages, the living ones, that was the big deal. That was a huge success. We give Trump very much credit for his very strong personality and his leadership in the region that did that. But to get to the rest of this actually is a carryover of the same 3 phases and 20 points that Biden had, by the way. So it's going to be very difficult, but it's necessary. And I'm sorry to delay Tony Blair's next job and Trump's Nobel Peace Prize.
Mike, I don't know if you want to respond to that. I mean, it's kind of. Does Biden deserve credit for these hostages? There's some rhetoric about how many he released.
Now, look, you made the point a moment ago that Israel has a problem here with their PR. The trouble is, I'm afraid, this Overton window, you may have heard people speak about this, it's basically consensus of opinion. And it should be marshaled, and the media should be doing this, by the way. The Overton window should be marshaled. Consensus should be marshaled with law. And this is a responsibility for the media. So look, the law of armed conflict mainly consists, the headlines are necessity, proportionality, distinction, and precaution. Now, when people take a view of victimhood and boist this up with a crude body count, they look at the fact that Israel have killed, I don't know what it is, 40, 50, 60,000 people. Terrible, terrible.
Mike, I'm going to have to... Sorry to interject, Mike, but we're just about to crash into a break. Thank you for your company. Really appreciate it. Victoria will get your take on that just after the break. Charlie Kirk's best friend is joining me live in just a few minutes on Oxford Union. Back in just a tick.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, we have blustery, heavy showers across England and Wales today, with coastal gales in the south, but drier and brighter across Scotland. So we have low pressure dominating, bringing frequent showers across England and Wales. These are going to be heavy, containing the odd rumble of thunder and hail. Drier to the north of that into northern England, Scotland and Northern Ireland with sunshine, but more persistent rain across the far north into Shetland. Otherwise, temperatures still around average for the time of year, but underneath all these heavy downpours and coastal gales in the south, probably feeling pretty unpleasant. So as we end Monday evening, we still hold on to this band of rain across Shetland. Otherwise, across much of Scotland, seeing some early evening sunshine. Likewise for Northern Ireland as well. Still a few showers around, but most of the showers still persisting across much of England and Wales. So they are still going to be heavy through this evening. So do take care during rush hour, as there could be some difficult driving conditions. The area of low pressure will shift its way eastwards though, so most of those showers will start easing away. We'll see some clear spells as we go Monday night into Tuesday morning. Then a focus for showers, more so coming into western areas. But under the clear skies, we may see temperatures fall, so chilly in some spots with a few mist and fog patches, but the winds generally easing as well. So as we start Tuesday morning, best of the sunshine really across eastern areas. Well, we'll hold on to the driest conditions for the longest, but otherwise through the day, further showers moving through, but they won't be as heavy or as frequent as what we'll see today. And the wind's not as strong, still breezy out there, but we lose those coastal gales. Otherwise, temperatures still around average, around 12 to 16 degrees. Bye-bye.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Tonight on The Late Show Live, have the feds just uncovered a third potential assassination attempt on President Donald Trump? Big breaking story. All the details next. Hello, good evening. On The Late Show Live tonight, another assassination plot potentially. In breaking news, the FBI is investigating a possible sniper's nest. It's on your screens now if you're watching on telly, with a direct line of sight to President Trump's plane door at Palm Beach Airport. Just how safe are our political figures, including, I argue, the likes of Nigel Farage in the UK? Don't forget this from our very own Prime Minister.
Well, I do think that it's a racist policy. I do think it's immoral. It needs to be called out for what it is.
And also breaking tonight.
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just for what's a misunderstanding, what does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that.
President Trump's busy mate, yeah right, London's Mayor Sadiq Khan accused of a grooming gangs cover-up in a massive story breaking this evening in the Daily Express. Also tonight, Randy Andy, well, he's in a whole new world of scandal.
I've questioned myself as to why did I go, what was I doing, and was it the...
Just what kind of crisis does this now pose for the monarchy? It just gets worse and worse. More documents related to the prince's friendship with Jeffrey Epstein are set to be released imminently in the US after Democrats vowed to deliver justice for victims. Cops as well are involved in the UK. And also breaking tonight, Israel renews its ceasefire after the IDF accuses Hamas snipers of killing 2 of their soldiers. They've responded, Israel, with a wave of airstrikes all across Gaza. Well, it didn't take long, did it? Is peace in the Middle East already over? We'll also be diving headfirst into the stories from tomorrow's newspapers, hours before they hit the shelves, and also tonight.
With all due respect, have you been to London the last 10 years? Men can do whatever they want.
I live in London.
Are they happier?
Chaos at Oxford Union as a no-confidence vote is launched against the president-elect after his comments on Charlie Kirk's savage assassination. Charlie's best friend, Mikey McCoy, joins me live very shortly. And of course, we're live in Washington, D.C., just yards from the White House, bringing you the stories America's talking about, including this absolute cracker. We'll have all the details as to why President Trump himself shared that clip on social media and why the left, as always, are absolutely losing their minds. I'm Ben Leo. This is The Late Show Live, and welcome to the second hour where the stories get hotter, the pace gets faster, and the brakes have been dropped. Hallelujah. Don't go anywhere. Right, let's crack on, shall we? Oxford Union has been plunged into turmoil after a no-confidence vote against its incoming president, George Abercrombie. The vote comes after Mr Abercrombie's controversial social media comments, which appeared to celebrate the death of US activist Charlie Kirk. I argue they absolutely did, who was shot dead in September. In a leaked group chat, George Abercrombie said, quote, "Charlie Kirk got shot. Let's effing go." Another message believed to have come from his Instagram account saw him joke of the matter, saying, "Charlie Kirk got shot, lol, laugh out loud." Here was Charlie Kirk debating Mr Abercrombie.
With all due respect, have you been to London the last 10 years? Men can do whatever they want.
I live in London.
Are they happier? Men can dress how they want. Men can act how they want. And go to any club. Has it worked?
Yeah, but also we've had austerity. There are other factors outside of simply just.
You see what you're doing, respectfully.
Factors.
You're scrambling for an excuse to get away from the truth that's right in front of you.
I mean,
maybe men should get married and have children.
Well, joining me now is Chief of Staff at Turning Point USA, Mikey McCoy, and indeed Charlie's very, very good friend. Mikey, good to see you, my friend. What's your take on this whole sorry fiasco at Oxford Union? I remember meeting you guys back in, was it April or May? And you'd just come off the back of the Oxford and Union talks, the debates that Charlie held. And I mean, you were both astounded at the level of intellect from the likes of that guy there, who of course now has been revealed to have celebrated Charlie's assassination. What's your take?
I find it ironic that they were debating the responsibility of men in today's society, because George Aberonier is not a responsible man, nor is he a serious person. And if he had any integrity, he would have stepped down already and not wasted so many people's time with this no confidence vote. And on top of that, seeing how poorly managed this entire thing has been, I have friends on the ground there. One is a former president of the union, saying that they had to wait 4 hours to vote, that people who were proxy voting from 1985 before then weren't in the system, so they couldn't vote either. They're still counting ballots. They're still figuring everything out. But physical fights have almost broken out in the counting room. George Aberonier is not a serious person. Neither are the people who are platforming him. And on top of that, I just think it's disgusting that these messages he has yet to take responsibility for, and how poorly mishandled this entire thing has been. Is the Oxford Union going to continue to be a serious place that has accountability, or are they going to be a place that sets a new standard of disgust moving forward? That they celebrate a political opponent publicly assassinated with prayer hands emojis, hoping that he's dead. I'm really hoping that the Oxford Union can move forward. And I just wrote a letter with Charlie's team. We all signed it. And if this vote doesn't go through, there's going to have to be serious accountability from the U.S. with political speakers no longer going there, conservative intellectuals on the right from America no longer going there. I will personally reach out to every single one of them if this vote does not go through.
Yeah, and Mikey, I mean, you say that that guy isn't a serious person. Just look at the way he turned up to the debate with Charlie in tracksuit bottoms, looking like he just rolled out of bed. I mean, it's indicative of the kind of mindset that these people have, and I guess indicative of kind of higher education. There he is. Look, he's got wearing a Batman T-shirt and tracksuit bottoms. I mean, what a joke. What do you make of his response, Mikey? Because he's done some videos online on Instagram and TikTok saying that the media took his comments out of context. On what universe could his comments have possibly been taken out of context, Mikey?
Yeah, this is what's crazy to me, and also what we added in our letter, that this institution that once was an amazing place where people came to debate ideas, to work together, to respect the chamber by showing up in suits and tuxedos, now is a place where someone can show up in sweatpants and an oversized T-shirt. And it's a little worrying to me. But on top of that, George Aberonier is making posts claiming racism is the reason why people are trying to push this vote of no confidence through. I'm a little confused, George. Who's the victim here? Because Charlie Kirk's dead and your feelings are hurt because you wear a do-rag on campus. And I'm just a little confused. Who's the victim? You have to reevaluate.
Yeah, Mikey, I don't really, I'm going to show you a clip in a minute, which you retweeted yourself or reposted on X a bit earlier today. It's of this woman is, just for context for British viewers, she's allegedly a teacher in Chicago, and she's filmed, I mean, she's one of many, unfortunately, and I'm very reluctant to give these kind of people airtime, but I think it needs to be said that I think we need to paint a picture of the kind of people we're up against. But this was a woman at a No Kings protest celebrating the death of your good friend Charlie. Let's take a quick look.
Hey! You ever heard of Ozempic, you fat ass? Hey! You ever heard of Ozempic, you fat ass?
Sorry to ask you, mate, but what's your take on those kind of people?
I'm increasingly worried in the direction that the left is headed in, both in seriousness, but also the weaponization and radicalization of the left. And as you're probably going to talk about later on in the show, the sniper's nest that was found in Palm Beach. The left is the party that's moving further into radicalization, when it comes to political assassins, when it comes to unserious dialogue, when it comes to celebrating the death of a political opponent publicly in a group chat. But then you see videos like this of people at protests where this is supposed to be a no kings rally. And I just also find it ironic that it's the minority party in America who shut down the government, and yet they're claiming that Trump's a king. I doubt that a king would allow for his government to be shut down. But then they gather in an unserious manner, and she's making these jokes that aren't funny. And she's trying to get these people to act up. The right, we don't act up. We peacefully gather, which is what you saw at Charlie's memorial, where we had 277,000 people show up to worship, to peacefully gather, to celebrate his life and legacy. But on the left, you see these crazy clowns dressing up in the street, pre-made signs, making vulgar and disgusting acts on camera. And responsibility is coming. These people will be held accountable for their actions. But if you are on the left and you're watching this, do you really want to be part of a no accountability, unserious group of people? I'm just a little bit confused by that.
Yeah, well, Mikey, we've got Democrat strategist Bob Weiner here in the studio, who's been listening to what you've been saying. By the way, just before I bring him in, Charlie's memorial was one of the most extraordinary days of my life. I thought your speech there was probably up there with the best of them. And I'm not particularly religious, maybe more so actually since meeting Charlie and being at that memorial. But the Holy Spirit, Mikey, was in the stadium that day, and it was just extraordinary to be a part of. So just on a personal note, thank you for your part in that. Mikey, this is Democrat strategist Bob Weiner, who wants to address with you some comments you made there about the left. Bob, down that camera there, mate, okay. down the barrel. Let's have a chat with Mikey.
This is not a right and left issue. Just the last couple of days, the New York State Republicans young Republicans had to disband because they were using Hitler language and hate language, and the head of the New York Republicans had to resign as state senator. And by the way, you talk about 270,000 people for Charlie Kirk. I was emotionally distraught about that because I did young voter politics in the Young Democrats office at the Watergate back in 1971 and 72. That was a terrible thing because he was so inspiring. But there were 7 million people, 7 million, at the big crowds protesting Trump across the U.S. 7 million with zero violence, and all Trump could do was like a 1-year-old and fly an airplane video that he retweeted and shoot poop down at the crowd. That was irresponsible and immature.
Yeah, are you also going to mention Jay Jones? I'm interested to see if you're going to talk about his comments made about wanting to kill young children.
Terrible, and the candidate for governor should have
let Mikey answer. Wait, Bob, let Mikey answer.
Oh, I thought he asked me.
Yeah, I was just going to finish my point about Jay Jones. So here you have two scenarios. You have one, someone running to be the top cop in Virginia, which is one of the largest states with one of the most powerful positions, where also our state capital happens to be, or our country's capital happens to be located. And he's threatening, then doubling and tripling down after saying that he would like to see little fascists that are being bred die, and then threatening the life of multiple elected officials. So yeah, I mean, look, off-color jokes made by 20-year-olds not running for office, and then you have a guy running for office making these disgusting threats. Look, I'm going to be honest. You have the left, which is George Aberonier, celebrating when somebody dies. And then also on the left, you have someone hoping that children die and people running for public office or people already elected in public office.
You want my response?
Yeah, go for it. Last word.
The candidate for Governor Spanberger should have said he should withdraw. I'm all for that. I happen to be for Spanberger because there's such a difference between her and the candidate for governor. But she should have called for the withdrawal of that attorney general candidate. I'm with you on that.
Okay, nice. Glad in Charlie's kind of fashion we can agree to, nice to agree on the last point. Mikey, just finally, before I let you go, just on a personal level, how are you? Are you okay? How are you doing since the loss of your friend?
Hanging in there, seeing the outpouring of love, and even yourself saying that you've drawn closer to religion is a beautiful thing. So many people are growing closer to things that bring organization to their life, and there's a necessity for God. When you find him, you find the formation in your life that's been missing. And so it's just brought a lot of peace and comfort seeing how many people have been touched by this whole process. But we're hanging in there. There's really no blueprint to deal with something like this, but we're taking it day by day.
All right, lots of love to you all, Mikey. Thank you very much. Chief of Staff at Turning Point USA, you've been very generous with your time and we appreciate it. We'll catch up soon. That's Mikey McCoy. Let's bring in Victoria now. I've been waiting patiently. Victoria Churchill, what's your take on, let's talk about the Oxford situation. Why hasn't the president of Oxford Union resigned? I mean, was it clear from your perception that he was celebrating Charlie Kirk's death?
From what I've seen, there is no out of context in this situation. And, you know, I actually had this pulled up in show prep here before I knew Mikey was going to be our guest in this segment. But this was from Charlie Kirk's producer, Blake Neff. He comments on even the matter of this vote being tallied. He calls it both embarrassing and highly suspicious, which, you know, I mean, to me, again, the irony is not lost that the people that want to talk about democracy and, you know, having votes out in the open can't even tally their own votes for a small campus club, let alone an entire nation. But yeah, you know.
Do you think he should resign? I mean, what kind of man wouldn't just stand down after that kind of controversy? I mean, it takes a special kind of arrogance, no?
I think he absolutely should stand down. And again, you know, Bob was bringing up the comparison with the young Republicans. Those young Republicans, a couple of them held elected office. They are no longer holding those offices either because they have resigned or they have been asked to resign or step down. And so, you know, if we're comparing apples to apples here, you make terrible comments while you are serving in a very highly visible public position. You should no longer hold that position because you've lost the confidence of people that support you, but also people that you've had to work with that even didn't support you. You still represent them, so you've lost that confidence. You need to be out.
I agree.
Oh, that's it. Oh, I was hoping for some spicy handbags and debate. Yeah, I mean, what kind of... as Mikey McCoy eloquently said, the guy turns up to a debate with Charlie Kirk dressed in an oversized Batman T-shirt and some grubby tracking bottoms. You know, and for me, completely indicative of higher education. Yeah. I would not send my children, unless they wanted to be, I don't know, an architect or a surgeon or something, I would not send them anywhere near a university, quite simply because the risk-reward of them getting indoctrinated by absolute muppets like that guy there, George, whatever his name is far too high.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk's death transcends party. And it's something that was terrible to everybody. And again, as I mentioned, he was an inspiration to young people, and that transcends party.
Yeah. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I miss Charlie. R.I.P. Charlie, and best of love to Turning Point USA staff. gbnews.com/your say. I've not got to any comments tonight. Sad state of affairs. Oh, you're back. Sad state of affairs. I love your username. I remember it from last week, and it made me giggle, and I've remembered it since. You've said, I don't care how many demonstrated for the left this weekend. Trump won the Democratic vote in a landslide, Bob, both the House and the Senate.
Yeah, the landslide of 1.5 points, yes.
Bob, come on.
I do want to make a point about the crowds this weekend. Big crowds protest Trump across the U.S. with zero violence. And his paranoia and trying to create a crisis out of it so he can actually take over the 2026 election and call in the National Guard and the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys and ICE and gather the ballots and call it an emergency. That's the obvious plan. And I had an op-ed, as I mentioned to you, Ben, on it just this week. And it was named the #2 op-ed in the country, saying Democrats have to be ready with injunctions, with stop measures, with fences, with protection, and with crowds at the ballot box areas to give support to the people that want to vote. That's we have to be ready, because that's what Trump really wants to do, is block the election.
Well done on the op-ed. Congrats on that. But I think MAGA voters would say, hell yeah, this is what we voted for.
Well, that's 1/3 of the country, but 2/3 get to vote also.
Yeah. All right. Set ahead on the Late Show Live. Israel confirms it's enforcing the Gaza ceasefire despite fresh accusations of violations, particularly from Hamas. They were accused of gunning down 2 IDF soldiers. Aid deliveries remain halted, however, but the border could reopen tomorrow under US pressure. This is the Late Show Live. No breaks, remember. Back in just a tick.
Believe they really will disarm?
Well, they promised they would. They said they would. It's down that they would. Now, they said they were gang members, et cetera, you know. But these are very violent people. This is a very violent part of the world. Nobody's seen violence like this. If we have to, we'll disarm
the
them.
U.S.?
Well, whether it's me or the U.S. or it's, you know, a proxy.
Well, that was US President Donald Trump this morning speaking to Fox News as Israel confirms its ceasefire reinforcement in Gaza after both sides accused each other of violations. I just mentioned it then. Hamas has been accused of gunning down 2 IDF soldiers with sniper rifles. But also tonight, Israeli police have cancelled a Tel Aviv football derby between Maccabi and Hapoel after a riot between rival fans broke out. So police in Israel say dozens of smoke grenades and pyrotechnic devices were thrown onto the pitch and into the crowds, injuring 12 civilians and 3 officers. Of course, this comes off the back of Birmingham Council, who banned Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from attending a game against Aston Villa in Birmingham next month, with the government looking to overturn the decision. Prime Minister Keir Starmer during the week saying that it was the absolutely wrong decision. Well, let's get the take of political commentator Eyal Yacobi. Eyal, great to see you again, my friend. What's your reaction to all this nonsense from Birmingham and the fact that Israeli football fans aren't allowed to travel to the UK to watch their team play?
I think it's the epitome of the hypocrisy of the UK right now, that the same MPs that are celebrating that the Israeli soccer fans are unable to attend a soccer match are simultaneously complaining that there's racism being directed towards them, that people are rightfully calling them out. And I think the irony of it all is that the reason the soccer fans can't attend the game is not because they're violent, it's because the police warn that the locals, if you want to call them that in Birmingham, will become violent against the soccer fans, and the police simply won't be able to handle it.
Yeah, indeed. And just in more recent breaking matters, Eyal, this situation in Gaza now, it seems like peace in the Middle East didn't last too long. Israel accusing Hamas of gunning down 2 IDF soldiers. I was just talking to my previous guest, Mike Shearer, former British Army soldier personnel, who was saying, of course it was Hamas who broke it first. And I agree, but you've got this PR issue now with Israel where, despite the atrocities of October the 7th, despite Hamas being despot, bloodthirsty terrorist jihad supporters, there's still question marks. There's still conversations from people about, oh, who did break the ceasefire first? What's your take on what's happened today?
I mean, I think the fact that people are saying that Hamas broke the ceasefire this morning with killing 2 IDF soldiers is ridiculous, because since day one, Hamas has broken the ceasefire. There's still 19 hostage bodies that are being held in Gaza. And last time I joined you, I mentioned specifically Itai Khan and Omer Nutra, 2 American hostage bodies that still haven't been returned. And so Hamas, since day one, has actually been violating the ceasefire. They told the mediators, according to a report, that they had around 26 bodies, and then they had to find another 2 under the rubble. It appears that they're actually lying about that. And then now you have this new issue where every media outlet, the BBC and Sky News might be the worst, where they're saying Israel struck Gaza, which is putting a stress on the ceasefire, and just completely ignoring the fact that 2 IDF soldiers were killed in an RPG and anti-missile attack this morning.
What would you like the Trump administration to do here, Eyal, if anything? What kind of pressure should they be putting on Israel? What do you want them to do? How do you want this to pan out?
I mean, I echo actually what MBS said out of Riyadh, that Qatar and Turkey right now are tanking the ceasefire by not putting enough pressure on Hamas to disarm and give up the hostage bodies as soon as possible. And I think what you see right now is these more moderate Arab states, whether it be Saudi or the Emiratis or the Bahrainis, they see a massive opportunity right now in Gaza to actually give the Palestinian people a future free of jihadism, free of fundamentalism, free of Hamas, free of Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and give them what could be the Singapore of the Middle East, that is the Gaza Strip. But instead, countries like Qatar and Turkey are talking one way and then putting zero pressure on Hamas to actually disarm or do anything. I think, I know I'm going long, but one interesting point is that you notice that there were no condemnations from Erdogan or from the Al-Thanis this morning about Israel striking targets in southern Gaza, because they knew that Hamas was to blame for the ceasefire violation this morning.
Yeah, indeed. Maybe they were having their Sunday off. Who knows? I'm going to bring in my panel now, Bob Weiner and Victoria Churchill. Victoria, any questions for Eyal here or any contributions?
Yes, I think last week the world watched as these leaders of these other Arab nations, were there in Israel for this peace deal signing. Is it not incumbent upon these nations to try and, I guess, reason as much as they can with Hamas and actually be the enforcers of this deal? I think, especially from the U.S. perspective, I think we too often, have seen historically ourselves as the world's policemen, but this really seems to be like a world, the entire Arab world is really supposed to be united behind these peace deals. So what pressure can they put on Hamas?
I think funding is critical, that the funding to Hamas is completely cut off from whether it be NGOs. I know there was a report that was done last year that actually like 30% of Hamas's funding is actually coming out of NGOs stemming from Europe. So really cracking down on the NGOs that are funding Hamas. The Qataris have been funding Hamas throughout the war and really putting the pressure on them. And the onus is on Hamas right now to disarm. And I think, we mentioned the media and their complicity in this right now. Where's the media been all week while Hamas is posting videos of them executing dozens of Palestinians openly in the streets of Gaza? I mean, the media, I think, also plays a role, that they're giving a lifeline to Hamas, that if they continue this shtick that they're playing, that somehow they'll be bailed out.
Let me just add to what Victoria said, if I could. I think if you cut off funding either to Israel or to Hamas or to the PLO, you're going to get a backlash, and it will backfire on the peace process. I think Trump should use. Hillary made 17 trips in shuttle diplomacy to the region. I think Trump should go back. He should call a summit. He should bring everybody together, and I bet you he could calm the situation down.
Any response to that?
I think that's a great point. I also think the president of the United States might be a little bit busy to head back to the Middle East after going on, I think it was a 16-hour actually on-the-ground trip, whether it be in Israel or Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. I think right now it's more about, Witkoff is going back to the region, I believe, next week to try and get the ceasefire over the line. But I think what's been across the board, and as I mentioned, Riyadh is currently saying that Hamas is the one violating the ceasefire. Qatar and Turkey aren't putting enough pressure on Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad to surrender their weapons, to demilitarize Gaza, and allow for the day after plan to happen. Because when you think about this, and you think about the pro-Palestinians in the West who've been taking over the streets of London, Paris, and New York for every single day for the past 2 years, where are they now? That Hamas is the only group right now responsible for preventing the Palestinians from rebuilding Gaza, from humanitarian aid surging to the Gaza Strip, to Palestinians being able to look at a day after that they don't have to live under Hamas rule. And suddenly these voices are bizarrely silent. And I think it exposes the fact that they've never been pro-Palestinian. They've always been pro-Hamas.
Yeah, and probably maybe in some aspects, I'd argue they don't even care about Hamas or Palestine. They're just vehemently anti-Jew. Any old excuse to go Jew bashing these days. Eyal, thank you very much for your company. Appreciate it as ever. Hopefully we'll catch up soon. That's Eyal Yacobi, political commentator. Thank you, mate. Right, coming up next on The Late Show Live.
The Democrats are kamikazes right now. They're kamikaze pilots right now. They have nothing going. They have no future. They have incompetent candidates.
There he is, President Trump slamming the Democrats over the government shutdown. They're still shut down here in DC and all across America. It's like a ghost town. But here's a story for you. The Daily Mail leads with King's threat to shame Andrew by stripping his titles. Of course, he's already agreed to stop using his HRH and so on. Do we need an act of Parliament to officially strip Randy Andy, as he is more commonly remembered by in recent years, of his official titles? This is The Late Show Live, only on GB News. No breaks, back in just a tick after the weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, we have blustery, heavy showers across England and Wales today, with coastal gales in the south, but drier and brighter across Scotland. So we have low pressure dominating, bringing frequent showers across England and Wales. These are going to be heavy, containing the odd rumble of thunder and hail. Drier to the north of that into northern England, Scotland and Northern Ireland with sunshine, but more persistent rain across the far north into Shetland. Otherwise, temperatures still around average for the time of year, but underneath all these heavy downpours and coastal gales in the south, probably feeling pretty unpleasant. So as we end Monday evening, we still hold on to this band of rain across Shetland. Otherwise, across much of Scotland, seeing some early evening sunshine. Likewise for Northern Ireland as well. Still a few showers around, but most of the showers still persisting across much of England and Wales. So they are still going to be heavy through this evening. So do take care during rush hour, as there could be some difficult driving conditions. The area of low pressure will shift its way eastwards though, so most of those showers will start easing away. We'll see some clear spells as we go Monday night into Tuesday morning. Then a focus for showers, more so coming into western areas. But under the clear skies, we may see temperatures fall, so chilly in some spots with a few mist and fog patches, but the winds generally easing as well. So as we start Tuesday morning, best of the sunshine really across eastern areas. Well, we'll hold on to the driest conditions for the longest, but otherwise through the day, further showers moving through, but they won't be as heavy or as frequent as what we'll see today. And the wind's not as strong, still breezy out there, but we lose those coastal gales. Otherwise, temperatures still around average, around 12 to 16 degrees. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome back to the Late Show Live with me, Ben Leo. Let's take a look at some of the newspaper front pages hitting the shelves in Blighty tomorrow, starting with the Daily Telegraph. President Trump tells Kyiv, take the deal or be destroyed. A distinct change of tone here towards Zelensky and Ukraine. Basically, he's been on the phone to Putin. They're meeting in Budapest in Hungary, and President Trump now telling Zelensky, take this peace deal or Ukraine will be destroyed. The Daily Mail tomorrow. The King's threat to shame Andrew by stripping his titles. It's the scandal of Prince Andrew, which keeps rolling on and on. It's the gift that keeps on giving in terms of news stories. He has said that he'll stop using his HRH titles and so on, but this can officially be stripped with an act of parliament. Will we see that next? The Guardian, there's a scramble to shore up ceasefire as Israel hits Gaza with deadly raids. This is what Eyal Yacobi was just talking about. So Israel responded to the killing of 2 IDF soldiers by a Hamas sniper. And how does The Guardian describe its headline or run its headline? Scramble to shore up ceasefire as Israel hits Gaza with deadly raids. Israel were responding to Hamas breaking the ceasefire, and that's what The Guardian goes with. Just talking about Israel bombing Gaza. They're bombing Gaza again because they killed 2 of their soldiers. The Daily Express. Sadiq Khan accused of grooming gangs cover-up in the capital. Potential new headache for the Mayor of London. We'll be getting the latest on that in just a sec. The Independent revealed the true cost of letting our prisons crumble. I haven't read the story, but I can probably tell you what it is. Letting paedophiles walk free from court, letting rapists walk free from court, all while banging up people who post social media tweets. The New York Times, Secretary of State Marco Rubio promised to betray informants to get Trump's prison deal with El Salvador. Very complicated story. You probably don't care about it back in the UK. Let me know your thoughts. gbnews.com/your say. Let's speak to Paul Cox, GB News superstar and comedian. Paul, let's talk about Sadiq Khan, shall we? Front page of the Express. Is this as bombshell and as breaking as suggests? What's your take?
Yes, I think it probably is. And it is for a number of reasons. The grooming gang, and forgive me, American viewers and American panellists, what we like to colloquially call here the rape gang inquiry, because it is the systematic raping of disenfranchised white girls, has been all over sorry news stories for the last 10 to 12 months. And one of the reasons it's blown up so big is because it's been covered up a number of times by a number of authorities. And just recently, Sadiq Khan was asked questions by a political opponent at Mayor's Question Times in London, and he obfuscated, but he obfuscated in a relatively childish way. He obfuscated and pretended he didn't understand the question. He obfuscated and made it look as if he didn't really care about what was going on. This story's huge. The reason Sadiq Khan can get away with behaving the way that he does is because he has created a safe space for himself to do it. And the reason he's done that is because, and this is the elephant in the room, I'm afraid, Sadiq Khan himself is Muslim. The rape gang perpetrators that we talk of in this specific instance are largely Pakistani Muslims, and the left is built up of the strange bedfellows of the Muslim faith and the liberalists and the liberal elite, and they agree on one thing, and that is that they hate the West and that they hate capitalism. Now, I'm not saying that Sadiq Khan hates those things, but he is supported hugely by those people. So what I would say is that Sadiq Khan has found himself in an incredibly comfortable position to deny this type of stuff and act as if he doesn't care. Now, if this is found to be true in any way, shape or form, Sadiq Khan is going to find himself in tremendous trouble. Tremendous trouble. There is no appetite on the left or right anymore to cover up this story in any way, shape or form. These girls need justice, and if anybody has stood in the way, whether they are Conservative, Labour, Liberal, hard right, whatever it is, they need to be brought to justice too, Ben.
Yeah, Paul, I've brought the cavalry. Victoria Churchill's here and Bob Weiner as well. Victoria, your take on this breaking story on Sadiq Khan?
Yes, I think there needs to be justice for women who are, victims of violence, whether that's by these gangs or, Epstein, who we've talked about, of course, with the connections to Epstein and to Prince Andrew, Andrew. Maybe we'll soon not have the Prince title. But yeah, again, this is something that we have to look at. I don't think there is kind of a uniform system of justice to the people that commit these crimes versus the victims. And I know that, at least here in the U.S., these Epstein victims are speaking out. They have allies, primarily in the Democrat Party, but also quite a number of Republicans who want these files released. And so, again, I think that these victims demanding justice, it's good to see across the pond, as well as here in the U.S. And anybody that is a victim of this should be speaking out. Because
Victoria, sorry to interject. What do Americans make of Sadiq Khan?
Well, I don't think we like him too much. I think he's taken something that used to be a much better city in London, and it's become a little bit of a mess under his watch. Well,
Bob's just got back from London a few weeks ago. Bob, what did you think of London? Did you enjoy it? Did you feel safe? Was it clean? What did you make of Sadiq Khan?
All yes, and I loved it, and I will be back. And you know that I really enjoy going to London and staring at Parliament, because we know what you do, and staring at Westminster Abbey, and staring at Big Ben. That's iconic what you have. But let me talk serious. Let me talk serious.
Bob, hang on. As a Brit, that's big tourist spots in London, but is that London? What's it like for people who live there, do you think? I mean, we've got...
Well, I went to the Shakespeare Theatre too. Look, I do what I do when I go to London, and I loved it. And I talked to the taxi. Look, let me say my point, which is you have more accountability here with your royals than we have in the United States on Epstein, and it's our scandal. I mean, it's ours. It's not yours. We created it. And so, but nobody's resigned, and nobody's being held accountable. And Grijalva can't even get herself elected to be the 218th vote on the release of the files. So we're really screwing up on the Epstein files, and you guys are doing more about it than we are.
Do you think we're screwing up, Paul, on the grooming gangs, the Pakistani rape gangs?
Are we doing what? Sorry, Ben?
Are we screwing up with the grooming gangs? Has the country, has the government, Starmer, did not take it seriously enough?
I mean, I'm really glad that Bob enjoyed his trip to London. I'm only sorry that I didn't get to see Bob. I genuinely am sorry. When I saw that he was on Alex's show on the Sunday night, which I'm on, or one of the weekend shows, and I couldn't be there, I was absolutely devastated, Bob. I'll get to see you at some point.
Show, yeah.
But you obfuscated them, my friend, and you avoided the question. However, you raised a good point, and that's that whether this is happening on your side of the pond or our side of the pond, people are getting away with it. And the reason they're getting away with it is...
Trump, Steve Bannon, and 3 cabinet officers. We've got big deals that are in the files.
Bob, Bob, I did not say that. Bob Wiener said that. But what I would say is you could replace all of those names, by the way, with police officers in this country, with local authority officers in this country, with senior politicians, senior media people in this country have all decided they are too squeamish to deal with this. Or even worse, I would say, that they are in some way politically affected by these scandals, so they avoid them. It doesn't get rid of the victims. The victims are still there. And in this country, what we've had is victims' families be persecuted, literally convicted of crimes for standing up for their families and pointing out what they've noticed, pointing out the truth. I don't care what political persuasion people are. This is absolutely disgusting, and we need to do something about it. It's not just a blot on the UK's paper or the US's paper. This is a travesty. We are free nations. The US and the UK are free nations. If we cannot protect our vulnerable, the elderly, and in this case, the children of our countries in any way, shape or form, then we are nothing. We are no better than our enemies. In fact, our enemies are better than us, because I bet my bottom dollar that they would not let these kind of animals get away with this type of crime.
Oh, I can tell you what they do in, you know, banana republics with paedophiles and so on. They'd have them in the public square, hanging them. And I argue paedophiles deserve no less in the UK as well. Bring back capital punishment, I say. I'd argue, Paul, as well. I don't want to sort of strike comparisons and say what's worse than the other, but both situations, the Epstein scandal and the grooming gang scandal, the Red Gang scandal, are completely abhorrent. But I think the scandal's bigger when it comes to the grooming gangs, because there are thousands and thousands of victims. It still goes on today, committed by people who have come into the country, been given, with welcomed arms to generations of Pakistanis into the country with homes and careers and whatever. You've come into the UK, welcome to the country, and that's how you've repaid the country. And also, this is pertinent, they were targeting specifically white girls for the colour of their skin. The court transcripts, Paul, which you've seen as well, talking about how these men were degrading these young girls, these children, based on the colour of their skin.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's to put it into context, it's like having hundreds of Jeffrey Epsteins roaming around. This doesn't just happen. You may have heard of Rotherham. We're talking about London tonight. We don't actually know whether it's happening in London or not, because people have obfuscated on it. There are 8 million people in London. There are 1.3 of those 8 million are Muslims. That's 15% of that number, and therefore there is a high probability, given what we know, that it did happen in London. Now, I keep saying this, and I genuinely mean it. I don't care what political persuasion anybody is. If you cannot see that it is good to protect children, no matter the colour of their skin, no matter the religion of the perpetrator, no matter what, then you shouldn't be in power. You should have no authority. You should not work in television. You should not work in the police. You should not be a politician, and you should not be the mayor of one of the biggest cities in the world.
What do you think is going to happen to Khan now? I mean, is it kind of Teflon? Is it people going to keep voting for him? Is it the end of Khan? Has he got massive questions to answer? Or is he going to be forgotten about next week?
It's not the end of Khan. Sadiq Khan will look at this and it'll be water off a duck's back. This is one newspaper at the moment, and it's the Daily Express, and he can paint this however he wishes. If other newspapers start picking it up, or by the way, this is not just some great investigative journalism by the Daily Express. This is backed up by victim accounts. This is backed up by whistleblowers, legitimate whistleblowers. If any of those things prove to be true, other papers will start picking it up. And I talked earlier about this rather sad, safe space that politicians, the liberal elite, have been able to create for themselves by dividing people, by saying anyone who calls this out, particularly if they mention the religion, in this case Muslim, of the perpetrators, they are in some way bigoted, they are racist, they are against good and the right side of history. I hate that term, the right side of history. This does not deserve to be on any side of history, let alone the right side of history. Sadiq Khan will be fine, because at the moment a huge cohort of people, particularly in London, would vote for him no matter what, because they believe he's their man. And he has been their man for 8 solid years now. So I don't think this will immediately affect him. If it carries on, however, and if there is any evidence whatsoever that he has covered up rape gang instances in London to protect himself or his brethren in any way at all, then he has to step down. I don't care what he has to say about it. If he knew about it, and there's no way he couldn't know, he's in charge of the Metropolitan Police Service. So if the Metropolitan Police Service knew about it and they weren't speaking to Khan, it doesn't matter. Khan still would have to know about it, and it's remiss of him not to. So he obfuscated with Susan Hall, which leads us to believe that there's more to it than meets the eye. He treats it in a childish manner, and this is not something to be laughed at. It simply isn't.
Just finally, before I let you go, Paul, I'm going to ask this question to everybody on the panel, including you. London, just talking of London, and Bob's been there recently. London, of course, is, I think it's the only capital city in the world, correct me if I'm wrong, where the native population are a minority. So white Brits in London, something like 37%. They're a minority in their own capital city. Victoria, is that an issue?
Just looking at numbers, I don't think that's an issue. But again, we've talked about this before. I think that if you come to a country, especially one that has a great and storied history, you need to make sure that you are doing the best to preserve that culture and not bringing your own in and having it take over. Again, I'm all for a melting pot, a mixing pot, you know, different cultures coexisting. But if you are brutally taking over, and in this case, very brutally, if you are actually committing crimes upon the population that was originally there before you came there, then to me, that doesn't, you know, that doesn't pass the sniff test.
Just to point out, D.C. is 70% black, so it's a little bit similar, but not the same situation. And Trump dumps all over it because of that.
So you don't think there's an issue with white Brits being a minority in London?
Of course it is.
It is. Why is it an issue? I mean, people call you racist for saying that.
No, I'm saying that Trump dumps all over the African Americans in D.C. Oh, you mean in London?
In London, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's,
why is it an issue?
Look, the way I function in life is I work with blinders. I don't see black, white when I talk to people. I see substance and I see them with the merits.
Paul, is it an issue?
If we're talking strictly colour of skin, no, it's not an issue. I don't think even when I talk to people on the right about this, it's not about the colour of the skin. It's about attitude and culture. It's about assimilation. It doesn't matter really if those people are white, black, brown, or whatever. What does matter is whether they share the same values. Multiculturalism is not a strength if everybody is not aligned. The point is, we had an incumbent culture in London, and for many, many years, the immigration into the UK was minimal, and it drip-fed in, and people assimilated because there really wasn't any choice. You had to fit in to get on, and that's what you need for a harmonious group, irrespective of skin colour. What happens if you just flood a place, London or whatever, with as many people as you like? None of that process takes place, and people start up their own little clans, and that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah, but it's also, I'd argue, not multiculturalism if everybody just keeps themselves to themselves. On Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, GB News has approached the Mayor's office for comment. A spokesman has told the Express newspaper the Mayor's always been clear that the safety of Londoners is his top priority, and nowhere is this truer than in the safeguarding of children. Very good. Paul, hang on the line, because I've got another story for you. Thousands of people took to the streets in America yesterday as part of the so-called No Kings protest over Donald Trump's presidency. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and if British viewers aren't too familiar with old Nancy, she does well on her stock trading. Anyway, she's accused of being a far-left radical lunatic by the likes of President Trump. She also joined in. Take a look.
I'm going to tear up the crown.
Bob Weiner, what's Nancy doing there? What was the No Kings protest about? Just tell our British viewers. No Kings. Who are they calling a king?
7 million people protested because Trump is trying to stop free speech and take away rights. And I have to remind Americans and Brits, our First Amendment to the Constitution, Congress shall make no law respecting or prohibiting bridging the freedom of speech or the right to peaceably to assemble and to petition the government. That's what Trump pooped on when he sent that tweet around, and he said he had. And by the way, you only showed a short clip of it. Show it longer, and it keeps on going down into the ground, into the people.
Just very quickly. So how has Trump attacked free speech and the right to gather and protest? Give me an example.
Well, free speech. He's been attacking universities, telling them how to vote, attacking the press, trying to bar them from the Pentagon, and people's rights to say what they want. They grabbed them with ICE
they're illegal migrants. Bob.
No, that was an American citizen that they threw on the ground and they had to release 3 hours later with the woman screaming. And 70% of the people they grab are not illegal immigrants.
70%.
7-0.
Hang on. Wait.
They went into that apartment building and went after 200 houses to get 3 people. 200 to 3.
70% of the people ICE, the immigration authorities here, have rounded up are American.
CBS said 70% have no criminal record whatsoever.
But they're illegal migrants. By definition, they are criminals. They broke into the country illegally, Bob.
But that's not what Trump said he was going to do. He was going to go after the worst, the rapists, the gangsters.
If I broke into your house tonight and I said, what's your wife's name? Is it Pam?
Pat.
Pat. I broke in tonight. I said, hi, Pam, I'm in. I don't care if I'm having your peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I'm here. What would you say?
You're good looking.
All right. Paul, your take.
Well, I mean, it is great framing by the Democrats and the left in America. I understand that, using the term king and making Trump out to be a king is very much the devil within America, obviously historically breaking away from us.
He has no regard for the law.
And yeah, great, Bob. Cheers. Lovely for your input there, mate. What I would say, though, is that 70%, you said, Bob, 70% of them, of these illegal immigrants, hadn't committed any crimes, right? By the way, 100% had, because they were illegal immigrants. However, you're admitting, and I don't really actually realise this, 30% of those people...
Many are here seeking asylum, and they're thrown out and grabbed at the courthouse.
30% of those people, though, Bob, had committed crimes. That's an incredible statistic. So other than being illegal immigrants, crime number one, they also, 30% of them were criminals already. That's not a great statistic when 1/3 of the people that have illegally broken into the country have been caught for doing a crime in the country they've broken into. Look, Nancy Pelosi she's in a... Where is she now? She's in her kind of autumn years politically, shall we say? And I think that she's just...
she's emeritus.
She's enjoying the fruits of her labour. She managed to somehow, as a politician, make about $10 million a year. I don't know how she did it. Great work. But she's enjoying that time now, and this is just, this is just fun for her. I don't think Trump cares. He probably smiles at it.
I just wanted to jump in with you just 1 second here. You said this was good messaging. I actually want to disagree, because the Democrats abroad, so this is groups of Democrats outside of the United States, they decided to change the No Kings theme to other events around the world, to No Tyrants, as to not mix messages in countries with a monarchy. They also decided to swap out no crowns in favor of no clowns and encourage people to come dressed as clowns. They're likening this to Donald Trump himself and his cronies. So, actually, I want to disagree with you, Paul. I think the messaging is all over the place. It's absolutely horrible, because in the U.S. we have No King's Day every single year. We have for 249 years, 250 years next year, with July 4th, where we are not a monarchy and we elect our presidents every 4 years.
Just a quick point. Trump has fallen to 37% popularity as president.
Bobby, is someone putting a cord on the back of you? Do you just say things randomly whenever you feel like it? I just want to say, I stand corrected, Victoria. I've always been an admirer of you. I look at you when you're on these panels and think, you must wonder how you got here. You sat between Bob Weiner and me. You're a serious journalist, so thank you very much. And it's a great point you made there.
Oh, brilliant. But I'm going to play this Donald Trump clip that's sent people off their rocker, including Bob. He's not happy with this clip I'm about to show you. But Bob, very quick question. On the illegal migrants who have broken into America, you say they're asylum seekers, they're all fleeing persecution.
And ICE goes into the courthouse and we grabbed them there.
All right, let's say you're right. Down that camera, Bob. You're on that camera. Okay. How many illegal migrants have you put up in your house? How many are staying with you?
Well, we had 2 cats.
No, illegal migrants. Don't joke your way out of this. How many illegal migrants are you hosting in your house?
Why am I supposed to?
Well, why should America? Who's going to host them then?
All right, fine.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Let's play this clip. Donald Trump posted this clip on the internet, on Truth Social, and it sent Bob and his cohorts absolutely wild. Take a look. So that was President Trump posting a clip. It's AI generated, of course, dumping poop feces on No King's protesters. Bob, you weren't happy with that. Why?
I think it was gross and disgusting. I mean, I can be a first grader, but that's what he was doing there.
Well, Trump didn't make the video. He just reposted it.
That's his choice. He's the president of the United States. He doesn't have to send things around that are crappy.
You liked it, didn't you, Victoria? You liked it?
Well, I can't say I liked it, but, you know, I've talked on lots of shows, especially this one, that Trump has always been a comedian. Even if this was a little bit of, I'd say, you know, kindergarten, first grade rate playground humor, I think he was still going for the humor element here. And I thought even funnier to this was Harry Sisson, who's the one at the end of that video. He's a Democratic talking head. You know, Gen Z, they wheel him out for all kinds of things. And, you know, he actually encouraged members of the press to ask Donald Trump why he posted this video. And J.D. Vance quote tweeted that tweet on X and said, don't worry, Harry, I'm actually going to ask him myself. So, you know, I think J.D. Vance and Donald Trump are definitely having the last laugh on this one.
He just couldn't stand the press that showed that the rallies were not commies and terrorists.
The cord's been pulled again. Paul, you got 20 seconds. Last word, mate. Thanks for your company tonight.
Oh no, look, I'm with Victoria on this. It is amusing. Bob was laughing when we came back, for goodness sake. It is amusing, and the one thing Donald Trump does is he cuts through. So he speaks to the regular man and woman on the street, Ben.
Paul, thank you very much. Appreciate your company, my friends. Stay safe, and I'll speak to you next week, hopefully. Right, that's it. Everybody caught their breath. Thank you for spending your night with The Late Show Live tonight. It's my first show back. I've been in England all week, and it's good to be back in America and indeed with you, the viewers. Thank you to my panel, Bob and Victoria. I'll see you back here tomorrow, midnight in the UK, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Bev is off all week, so it's me in the hot chair. I'll see you tomorrow night. Sweet dreams. Good night.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, we have blustery, heavy showers across England and Wales today, with coastal gales in the south, but drier and brighter across Scotland. So we have low pressure dominating, bringing frequent showers across England and Wales. These are going to be heavy, containing the odd rumble of thunder and hail. Drier to the north of that into northern England, Scotland and Northern Ireland with sunshine, but more persistent rain across the far north into Shetland. Otherwise, temperatures still around average for the time of year, but underneath all these heavy downpours and coastal gales in the south, probably feeling pretty unpleasant. So as we end Monday evening, we still hold on to this band of rain across Shetland. Otherwise, across much of Scotland, seeing some early evening sunshine. Likewise for Northern Ireland as well. Still a few showers around, but most of the showers still persisting across much of England.